Michael from St. Paul writes in. He says, I was wondering if any of you are big fans of comics. And if so, do you have any advice for someone wanting to get into them? For a while, I've been wanting to start reading comics, but it's a little overwhelming when there's so much history and so many different storylines. I wanted to ask the GI staff because you guys are awesome and have the correct opinions.
Yeah, we can probably skip this question, right, Miller?
Yeah, moving on. Let's see. Josh Jones writes in. No, Miller, briefly. Okay.
Come on.
If you have to pick one comic
what are you reading now that he
that
should
is
like jump
better
into,
than
maybe?
anyone else,
Yeah.
I think right now one of my favorite comics is Saga. That game, that comic is
and
really
they start
good.
where?
Well, it's not a particularly old comic, so
Okay.
you start at number 1, and it's a great sort of sci-fi epic, but for grown-ups. It has some grown-up content in it. So
What type of stuff? What kind of
like,
sexy
it
stuff
has-
we talking
has
about?
some- It has some cussing, has some nudity. It has some
Full frontal
pretty-
nudity?
Yes, actually, it does.
Full frontal noodly?
Noodly.
Hanson's never seen that before.
Saga's a really good comic. If you're pointing me like one thing that's coming out right now, I'd also point people towards just a personal favorite of mine right now. I think Rick Remender, who is a comics writer, has been doing some amazing work in recent years. And he's got lots of sort of independently written books that aren't part of like Marvel Comics or DC or anything like that. If you want a good sort of action-packed story with great art, he always works with these great artists. His Black Science, Low, Tokyo Ghost, these are all really, really great
Cool.
things. But there's also the other thing I would tell somebody that's a really good avenue if you haven't gotten into comics, but you specifically have an interest in that like mass market thing of like the superhero comics.
Let's go specifically. Let's burrow in because I think a lot of people saw Civil War, Captain America, and they say, God, I want to absorb that Civil War storyline. Where do I start? How compact is it? What do I need?
So the cheapest and most comprehensive way that if you were just like, I've never read comics, but I love those Marvel movies, or it'd be fun to kind of be in on those conversations about that kind of stuff. Marvel now has a service that you can pay. I think it's something like $10 a month for Marvel Unlimited.
Okay.
And you have access. You don't have the most immediate comics that have just come out. It's like 6 months back and older stuff, but they have relatively comprehensive collections of a lot of their like biggest and most interesting stories.
So you can pay $10 and read all of Civil War.
Yes.
Which is how much content? Like how many pages are we talking there?
I mean,
How do
a
you measure
lot.
that?
I mean, you're talking, I think they have I'm shooting off the cuff here, but I want to say I read somewhere they have something like 17,000 comics that you have access to through that service.
But what about the Civil War storyline specifically?
Yes.
Like how much content is that if you wanted to get through that?
God, I don't know. Civil War was a while ago. I want to say it was 8 issues. And
this is a really stupid issues, meaning just like the single like
this is
super thin thingies.
Yeah, an issue is like 22 pages of comics.
Okay.
Right? And so this is their like digital thing, right? So if you're not at this point, if you're not collecting comics like paper comics and putting them in with bags and boards and putting them in a box, sure, there's that whole market of people. But I'm assuming
Those people.
Well,
I'm not one of those effing dweebs. God, if one of them was around
get
here
'em
right
outta
now,
here.
I'd knock the wind right out of them.
I hate when they come on podcasts.
Pull his underwear
if you don't have if you're not talking about one of those guys,
You can even call them that.
You're talking about like I want to get into these stories. I like looking at the art, and I think if you're getting into comics now, digital is a really good option for you. Like whether you're reading a subscription service like Marvel Unlimited or you're going through Comixology.
That seems to be the front runner.
Yep,
Okay.
Comixology is like basically an Amazon company at this point.
Okay.
But they have a really excellent storefront and system for buying digital comics, reading them in a way that like makes them look great.
Great. And quickly, I want to throw out as well, like I wasn't really into comics. I read Simpsons comics as a kid.
Okay.
But when I started at Game Informer, I was like, I should understand this world a little bit better. And just on a very surface level, I was like, okay, Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns seems to be the way to go. Read both of those. I am constantly glad that I did that.
Yeah.
They're classics for a reason. I think they are important stories to digest.
We could do, if we wanted to go off of games, we could do literally hours just talking about like comic recommendations.
Wade in the booth, you want to kill Miller's mic? Real quick, thanks. We got to move on.